Okay, I'll tell you why I want to destroy Arasaka, but I'll only tell you once. Want to hear it?
All right.
I saw a corpse strip farmers of water, and eventually of land. Saw them transform Night City into a machine fueled by people's crushed spirits, broken dreams, and empty pockets. Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots, and now they're after our souls.
Might be right. Can't really argue with you there.
V, I've declared war not because capitalism's a thorn in my side or out of nostalgia for an America gone by. This war's a people's war against a system that spiraled out of our control. It's a war against the fucking forces of entropy. Understand? Do whatever it takes to stop them, defeat them, gut them. If I gotta kill, I'll kill. If I need your body, I'll fucking take it. Fucking hell. You still don't see it, but you will one day.
Within the framework of the Enneagram, lust is more than just sex, it's about intensity. Type 8 chases stimulation, fast movement, loud sounds, conflict, strong flavors, anything that makes them feel alive. Underneath all that energy is a fear of going numb. For Type 8, being still feels like dying inside, so they keep pushing, they stay active, they confront challenges head on, and avoid anything that makes them feel weak or vulnerable. This is what Naranjo means when he says lust is about excess. It's not just physical, it's emotional and energetic. Eights want more of everything. They don't want to feel empty, so they flood their lives with action. In the diagram on Enneatypes, Type 8 is linked to 9, the type known for checking out. But where Type 9 disappears quietly, the 8 fights back against that same emptiness by getting louder, tougher, and more forceful. 8s also sit opposite of 4s on the diagram. 4s deal with pain by turning inward, feeling deeply. 8s do the opposite. They act, they push. Both want to feel alive, but they go about it in different ways. 8s are also similar to 7s. Both are impulsive and seek stimulation, but 7s are playful. 8s are intense. 7s run from fear, whereas 8s confront it head on. Compared to other types, 8s can look overly masculine, bold, and aggressive. 2s are soft and giving. 5s are quiet and withdrawn, whereas Type 8s stand their ground and take what they want. At the extreme, this lust for intensity can look like antisocial behavior. Psychologists have linked it to narcissistic or vindictive traits. But for the Enneagram 8, at the core, it's more about defense rather than cruelty. 8s protect themselves by staying strong, and vulnerability feels dangerous. In the end, lust isn't about pleasure, it's about not feeling dead inside, and 8s will do whatever it takes to stay alive. Unlike most other people, Type 8s don't build up their anger, they just explode. Psychiatrists used to call this explosive or excitable. They snap without warning, no pause, no guilt, just action. Schultz would say they have moral anesthesia. They know right from wrong, but they don't feel it, so it doesn't stop them. Back in the 1800s, psychiatry moved away from calling people evil or insane. Koch renamed moral insanity to psychopathic inferiority. Kraepelin called it psychopathic states, covering impulsive, antisocial, and aggressive types. And another coined it sociopathy. Then Cleckley gave us a clearer picture. No guilt, shallow emotions, and manipulative charm. They don't connect or learn, they just blend in. They're not always criminals. Some look like leaders, tough, practical, unshaken, but underneath is the same core. Reich called them phallic narcissist, athletic, proud, cold, emotionally distant. They strike first and keep control. Fromm called them exploitative. They don't ask, they take. They envy. They look for weaknesses to use. Today we call it antisocial personality disorder, lying, irresponsibility, aggression, no remorse. Millen listed 5 core traits. First, short temper, often cruel. Second, pride in being tough and self-reliant. Thirdly, they take enjoyment in humiliating others. The fourth is that they often lack a fear of danger. And the fifth is a deep distrust. To them, everyone's a threat, and that justifies everything. Kieran Horney added that it's all about domination. Life becomes a fight. They don't want support, they just want power. They assume kindness is fake. Even their charm is calculated. They use people for sex, power, or attention. They call them out and then say they're being too sensitive. They demand control. They'll criticize you, but don't touch their ego. If they lose control, they lash out, guilt trip, or go cold. To them, people aren't for bonding. They're for winning. It's not about love, but triumph. Horney said that aggressive types don't just fight others, they fight themselves for feeling soft. Emotions like love or empathy feel like weakness, so they shut them down to stay focused on control. They're proud of not needing anyone. Being alone makes them feel safe, because no one can use or hurt them that way. They see themselves as honest and fair, even if they're not. In their eyes, hitting first isn't cruelty, it's just smart. Being blunt feels real, and when they see others faking kindness, they see themselves as more truthful for not playing along. Coldness is towards others as well as themselves, but deep down there's envy, not for one thing, but for everything they've cut themselves off from. Joy, love, growth, things they act like they don't need but still want. That's where the contradiction is. They pretend they want nothing, but still think everyone else has more. That's where lust and envy connect. One hides the other. If we shift over to temperaments, Sheldon Samadonia matches Type 8. These are people with strong, athletic bodies and a natural push towards action, control, and confrontation. He outlined 20 core traits of the Samadonic type: assertive posture and movement, love of physical adventure, energetic drive, a need for and an enjoyment of exercise, love of domination and power, craving risk and chance, direct, bold manner, physical courage, competitive aggressiveness, emotional callousness, claustrophobia, ruthlessness, not squeamish, loud or noisy, mature or rugged appearance, divided thinking, which is a horizontal mental cleavage, extroversion rooted in the body, more aggressive under alcohol, restlessness under stress, and a strong identification with youthful goals or action. In short, this personality is wired for movement, intensity, and control. That somatic momentum shapes the entire mindset of the 8. Sheldon linked the Enneagram 8 to a body type he called somatotonic. Basically, people who are naturally active, muscular, and built for movement. These types tend to be assertive, competitive, and drawn to action. It's not about a defect, but a natural orientation towards dominance and control. If you come into the world wired for strength and aggression, it makes sense for you to rely on power to survive and succeed. Jung's extroverted sensation type also lines up with the 8. He describes someone who chases real-world experiences over theory. They live in the moment and they don't care about reflection that much. They enjoy stimulation and tend to treat people as tools for excitement. He even noted that they can be reckless, lacking the judgment that keeps behavior in check. In homeopathy, there's a remedy called nux vomica, made from a poisonous seed. It's used for people who are tense, impatient, and quick to anger. They're known for losing control fast, sometimes becoming abusive or explosive. Catherine Coulter described this type as a human power keg, restless, aggressive, and constantly picking fights when things feel too calm. They don't hold back, and they often don't care how they come across. They want to win, dominate, and get their way. Even at work or in relationships, they'll use people to get ahead. And if you're in the way, you'll get pushed aside. They don't pretend to be nice or gentle. They would feel fake. That being said, not everything about Nux Vomica fits Enneagram 8. Some traits like being fussy, overly sensitive, or perfectionistic sound more like a Type 1 or Type 4. But the core lines up. They're intense, forceful, prideful, and allergic to weakness. Whether we're talking about somatotonia, Jung's extroverted sensation type, or the Nux personality, it's all circling the same idea. Somebody who acts fast, pushes hard, and never breaks down. 1. Lust as a core drive. Lust is the central passion of the Enneatype 8. Unlike hidden vices like anger in Type 1, lust in Type 8 is open, loud, unapologetic, but that intensity and confidence is more of a defense. The lusty Type 8 embraces their hunger for life. Their boldness hides the fact that this is still taboo territory. Deep down, what they want is to prove that their pleasure isn't wrong. Some traits like love of eating, physical contact, or intensity are rooted in the body. These people are wired for sensation. Others, like thrill-seeking, impatience, and impulsiveness, reflect the deeper core of lust itself. Lust here isn't just about feeling good, but about fighting for pleasure. There's a thrill in the struggle, a kind of victory. Even pain can be transformed into pleasure. Whether it be the pain they overcome, or the pain that they cause, that struggle is what gives them their extra intensity. 2. Punitiveness and sadism. Enneatype 8s can be blunt, sarcastic, and even cruel. They intimidate, humiliate, and frustrate others, and rarely feel bad about it. Their anger is sharp, fast, and unapologetic, and they're not afraid of it. Oscar Icazo called this revenge, but it's not revenge in the dramatic, long-planned sense. It's often immediate, or it can be long-term, a deep urge to flip the script after childhood humiliation or powerlessness. They feel justified in taking their pleasure now, even if others suffer. That thrill of dominating or frustrating others is a defense against past shame. Just like how they learn to enjoy intense tastes or danger, they learn to turn pain into excitement. Their dominance, rebellion, and antisocial edge all stem from the same root. 3. Rebellion and authority issues. All that lust involves some rebellion, but Enneatype 8 takes it further. They scorn polite society and see morality as fake. This often starts with the father. If they grew up seeing authority as cruel or useless, they start to believe power is illegitimate, so they decide to take it for themselves. 4. Dominance becomes a shield. Type 8s are dominant, not just to lead, but to protect themselves. Dominance hides any sign of weakness. Traits like arrogance, power-seeking, competitiveness, and superiority all serve to keep others below them. In a world that demands restraint, they fight for the right to act on impulse. They've learned early on that being soft does not work, so they harden themselves. 5. Insensitivity and toughness. Toughness is what defines the Type 8. They're confrontational, ruthless, and emotionally blunt. They hate weakness, especially in themselves. That's why they seek out danger. Risk is their way of proving fear wrong. They get addicted to the intensity of life. Even anxiety becomes a thrill, like spicy food that hurts but excites. They turn suffering into power. 6. Cynical and conning. They see the world as dishonest, manipulative, and fake, so they fight fire with fire. Fromm noted cynicism, how they distrust all motives and see virtue as hypocrisy. This is not a type above lying and scheming. Type 8s can be openly deceptive. Think about the aggressive salesperson who bends the truth without flinching. 7. Narcissism and exhibitionism. They're often charming, funny, and bold, but not vain. Their confidence isn't about appearances, it's about power. Bragging and seduction are tools to gain control. They use charisma to compensate for their more brutal traits. 8. Autonomy and self-reliance. Trusting others is too risky. For the Type 8, they only rely on themselves. They idealize independence and reject anything that feels needy, passive, or dependent. Reich even described this as the core of the phallic narcissist defense, a way of hiding all vulnerabilities. 9. Sensory motor focus. And finally, we reach the foundation of Type 8, action. Enneatype 8s are sensory motor types. They live in the body, not in their heads. They grab life now. Abstract ideas and delayed gratification are not real to them. The present moment is everything. They need things to be physical, intense, and immediate. Without that, life feels dull. To see what's really going on under the surface of the Enneatype 8, we have to look at their defense system. Most people hold back their anger or desire, but 8s don't. They act on impulse, and that's why they come across as bold or shameless. That toughness is more about protection than confidence. According to Reich, this whole aggressive vibe is a way of avoiding feeling weak. 8s don't want to need anyone. They reject anything that feels soft, helpless, or submissive, especially if it reminds them of being controlled. They go further than just ignoring rules. They block out the guilt that usually makes people follow them to begin with. Instead of burying desire, they bury the inner voice that says don't. That's why they rebel so hard. It's not about people, but about refusing internalized limits. While Type 4 takes in pain and guilt, Type 8 spits it out. They don't want anything inside that makes them feel small. Some would call that denial, but it's more like flipping the script. They don't try to meet expectations. They become the opposite. Tough, assertive, untouchable. Even their bodies follow this. Some 8s don't feel pain the way others do. They ignore injuries, push through sickness, and emotionally shut out shame and fear. And more than just blocking pain, they turn it into fuel. Risk becomes excitement. Anger becomes drive. To them, this isn't recklessness. It's a way of staying in control. Beneath all of this is somebody that once felt vulnerable and built armor to make sure they never feel that way again. Now let's talk about where the Type 8 comes from, not just their traits, but their roots. Physically, many 8s lean towards a strong, athletic build, what scientists call mesomorphic. This fits their assertive, forceful style, which often comes naturally. But this isn't just about muscles. Their body tends to go with actions first, instincts and low sensitivity. That's what makes them more prone to act rather than reflect. Now imagine a child like that. Loud, intense, always chasing what they want. That kind of energy can bring punishment. Parents might see it as defiance. And when that happens early on, the kid learns, if I'm punished for being soft, then I won't be soft. I'll push harder. I'll become the one in control. Sometimes it's more direct. A kid raised around violence learns to get tough because softness isn't safe. Others might shut down or submit, but the 8 fights back. They leave early, chase freedom, and build armor. One story tells of a 4-year-old who wandered off down the beach just to look at the stars. When his father found him, he beat him. That's how a child learns that wonder is dangerous. So next time, he'll rebel, not dream. Some 8s even model themselves after a powerful adult, like a grandmother who ruled the home. If that figure was dominant and aggressive, the child might copy that for survival. Other times, the enemy is a harsh, authoritarian parent, a dad who controls everything. In that case, becoming intimidating becomes a defense, a way to take back power. Underneath all this toughness is something familiar, a buried wish for love. 8s, like 5s, often give up on getting love, but they still crave it. They just look for it in a different form: respect, control, and dominance. If someone lets them take control, they feel cared for. If someone stands strong with them, they feel trust. That's their twisted version of love, not through softness, but through strength. And over time, they stop asking for love the usual way. They replace it with power, because for them, love means someone won't leave, even when they're at their most intense. For Enneatype 8, action becomes everything. They charge forward, grab what they want, and never wait for permission. But this constant grasping hides something deeper, a loss of being. By always reaching for power, pleasure, or dominance, they lose connection with anything soft, subtle, or relational. Intimacy fades, tenderness gets replaced with intensity, and even when they get what they want, it doesn't feel like enough. It's like chasing hunger without ever tasting food. At the heart of it is a belief that nothing's freely given, that love won't come, that people can't be trusted. So the 8 takes. They stop waiting to be wanted. They just assume they won't be. And from that moment, life becomes conquest. And there's a cost to all this. When all you know is how to take, you forget how to receive. Even in relationships, they stay armored. They want contact, but without vulnerability. They appear involved, charming, full of life, but it's surface level. Underneath, something is missing. They mistake intensity for connection, power for meaning, triumph for love. This is about more than just relationships. It's about a state of being. The 8 tries to feel real by dominating, winning, or experiencing pleasure. But it doesn't work. The harder they chase satisfaction, the more empty it feels. Because the state of being isn't something you take, it's something you allow. And until they learn to receive, without control, without fear, they'll stay trapped in the chase, mistaking movement for life, mistaking power for presence.